Unlike the 57 card monstrosity that I was playing the other day, this deck only features 20 unique cards, but its simplicity helps it out a lot. The big game plan here is to use your Arven to get your Precious Trolley out, who can set up a lot 3 Duraludons, 2 Munkidoris, and a Radiant Greninja. From there, you can also grab a TM Turbo Energize off your Arven and attack immediately. What's great about the TM Energize is that it allows you to attach a Dark Energy to both your Munkidoris at once, which is really, really good for you. And on top of this, Archaludon attacks for so easy, essentially attaching 2/3 of the energy it needs anyways, that you really don't find this missing turn of attacking to be too detrimental to you. From there, you're stage 1 with 300 HP, so you're able to live a lot of attacks that most decks wouldn't be able to, and shrug off a lot of damage. So this is where your Munkidoris come in to help fix a lot of this math. I ended up going undefeated while playing this deck. I went like 6-0 with it, and I have to go ahead and credit Mr. Oscar Madsen here, who created the initial draft of the deck. I handed it off to a couple of friends, and they were the ones that wanted to put the Gengar from Lost Origin in here, which you can use to immediately put onto your bench for the discard and get 30 damage. This could be really nice if you're playing the decks such as Iron Thorns or into Terrapagos, where you need just a little extra bit of damage, but they haven't knocked you out yet. So this is where a card like Gengar can come in to help you allow you to immediately put some damage onto this Pokemon and get rolling. And like I said, Oscar Madsen was the person I have to credit for the original deck. I think he plays like 36-7 Worlds this year. So, go ahead, follow his Twitter, whatever. I'll leave a link down to it in the description, as well as the deck list. If you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoy the match. Getting started with my first match here, this is going to be against a Guardy player. And I think this matchup is really funny, mostly because what I end up doing to their whole setup. I think one thing that I left out in the deck introduction that's kind of underrated is the Lost City, because you're not really losing too much, and you play a solid 4-4 line of basically everything. You really never feel the loss of Lost City against yourself, but against certain decks, you can literally eliminate their entire win cons against you. There's a couple of examples I can think of, with Guardy being the big prominent one, but I've also noticed it helped out against the Ancient Box decks I was playing, because it would mean that their Aura Moons or their Flutter Mains would be going to the Lost Zone instead of the discard pile, which meant that they were losing damage off of it. So I felt like that was very important to notice. Here I'm contemplating whether or not I should grab the energy with the Night Stretcher, and I go ahead and do it. The reason for this is so I can end up retreating and attacking with Archaludon if that is something that needs to be done here. My opponent can play Iono against me. I feel like a Gardevoir deck could do that, and my situation isn't too bad. I also thought about saving the energy to discard it with Greninja later, but I kind of went with this position, a little bit hoping that my opponent would gamble me out of it. Hopefully the confidence of putting all the energy onto my Munkidori might make my opponent second guess, or I could just get into a situation where I wouldn't need to anyways. My opponent goes ahead and evolves up their Ralts into Curlias here, which, is understandable. They're going to take it pretty slow and not worry too much about it. And there is the Iono I was worried about. I'm able to just throw 2 energies onto my Archaludon, so my energy attachment on this Munkidori will likely pay off, as I am able to find the energy here. And I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this TM Energize. While I would like to set up my Monkey immediately, I did this whole play in the first place, so I was able to actually attack the Archaludon this turn. I also grabbed the Dark Energy here, which I was thinking, I want to save it for next turn, but I ended up discarding it anyways, so I definitely should have grabbed the second Steel Energy instead, so I could have pumped up energy to possibly set up another Archaludon right now. The reason you kind of want to rush out your Archaludons is mostly just to play around Iono. You don't really have great ways of coming back after a Hand Disruption, because you don't play anything like a Pheasantipity, so you're really relying on just setting up your board state as fast as possible, which I think the deck does pretty well. I mean, you're super low to the ground, playing a bunch of Stage 1 evolutions, and you have the Precious Trolley to get everything set up after that, so you're not really missing out on much here. I go ahead and I believe I actually lost the Cresselia here, which I'm not sure is too relevant, but it could stop them from like counter-capturing something and starting to snipe stuff on the bench. So just leaving another out of the way. It also forces them to put down the stadium immediately, which is good because it means I can take advantage of it in this situation to get another Pokemon out, and then I can immediately pump up my Lost City. I feel like most people who are playing Lost City are playing it as a one-of. You don't normally play more than one, so it can jump the opponent off guard, and if they're not ready for it, then they'll end up losing a lot here. My opponent is just going to go ahead and take out my Radiant Greninja. Thankfully, it doesn't even go to losses, so if I pull a Night Stretcher, like I do in this exact moment, then I can just go ahead and pull it back, really, with zero consequences. And I will, because the source of extra card draw is really nice when I'm trying to get to the bottom of my deck, and also trying to set up some energies in my discard for Archaludon to evolve up in immediately. Also, because he has the Scream Tail down, I really want to get this Lost City into play. Drifloon is kind of the big one I need to worry about, but in this situation, I think taking out the Scream Tail is good enough because it forces them to only have one option left, which is the Drifloon. And if they don't like Lost Vacuum away my own stadium, then the Drifloon will still become fodder as well. So this is one of those matchups that you can just sort of win off your text alone, which is really nice. And the only reason you're able to get away with this is because of how the deck is constructed. Because the deck is so slim and its quantity of cards, it only focuses on the consistency part. It really gives you the headway to do some cheeky, funny things like this. I also want to say that I think this deck is really good for beginners, so if you're looking to try to get somebody into the game, I'd definitely try recommending this deck to them. It also, I don't think, suffers too much from the Badoo changes. It can a little bit if you struggle to get your energy at the beginning, but what it has against Badoo is the Duraludon can hit it for 38 damage for a single metal energy, which you play 8 of, so it's not entirely unfeasible that you don't get it. And then you can also use Munkidori to kill it, and then attack something afterwards. You'll still be item locked for the rest of the turn, but those are some great tools to get past the Badoo, when that card comes out. And also, I think will retain most of its pieces. You'll lose the Radiant Greninja, and then you'll lose the Gengar. And while losing the Radiant Greninja sucks, the Gengar is kind of something that we threw in as a little funny thing. It's not entirely necessary, as the original list didn't even have a Gengar. It ran the 4 Munkidori instead. But I really think that there could be something like super fun in this list. And if you're also looking for something to replace the Lost City with, you have a couple stadiums to choose from. You can do like Pokemon League headquarters, for example, which could make the Badoo cost an energy to attack. It also just disrupts the more aggro decks. So if you're worried about like a Raging Bull or Roaring Moon, for example, Pokemon League headquarters can disrupt them. My opponent's going to go ahead and actually knock out the Archaludon here with the Drifloon here. But my Lost City is in play, so I really don't need too much more to get going here. I do lose my own Archaludon, but this is perfectly fine as, like I said, we run 4 copies of it, so nothing is really lost here. I also go ahead and use this to attach an energy to my, to my Archaludon, since I am able to split the energies. And I'm actually going to go ahead and try to take this out with a Munkidori. I believe this doesn't put it in the Lost Zone, because the Lost Zone specifically has to die from an attack. I could be wrong though. This could also just be banished. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that went to discard, but it also kind of doesn't matter, as I'm going to be taking so many prizes here and limiting my opponent's options and what they're able to do. And this is like, at this point, what is Gardevoir supposed to do? They don't have a lot of tools left. Like, literally, they don't have anything that they can really throw out here. And they're just going to go ahead and concede on the spot here, as I am able to close out the game. And we move on to game 2 here, which, is against a Dragapult, I believe. I believe I have this matchup as a Dragapult, which is a matchup where the Munkidori should be really good. Now, granted, I don't think my opponent plays this matchup the best that they could possibly can, but even then, like, the optimal play would still be very awkward for them. It also happens to be the Aaron Thorns version. I kind of detest this deck a lot. I think it's so lame, so gross. But, you know, we're here now. And I'm looking pretty satisfied. Now, I'm probably not going to be able to attack the Archaludon on turn 2, but I can slowly charge this up and be perfectly fine with it. And on top of that, my Arven is about to grab me my own Precious Trolley. And it's also going to go ahead and TM Turbo Energize here so I can get my energies into my Munkidoris instead of my own counterplay. My opponent also puts out a Tunscrew here, which I've been seeing become increasingly more popular. I think the card has always been like kind of niche and kind of fringe, but I'm glad it's kind of popping up now. I just think it's kind of cool to see. It's just a very unique tech card. Otherwise, we're just going to go ahead and use the TM Turbo Energize to set up both the energies onto our Munkidoris here. I could go ahead and hammer in and get the chip damage onto the Aaron Thorns, but my opponent could do something about that. I don't know if they were like a switch card or a Turo, but that damage could have been like negligible, and so I'd rather just get the counterplay set up and think about the long game here, because in the short term, not only can it be punished, but it's not always going to be productive, right? This also allows me to do a cool play later in the game, I think. Alright, at least I think it is cool. As my opponent goes ahead and TM Evos all their stuff. And now, I'm thinking about like what to do here. I almost want to just like boss the Dracloak. First, this removes an energy in play, and it removes the rescue board, so it takes away like an additional pivot option, and it also allows me to use my ability and get some value out of it. And I go ahead and attach some energies to one of my Duras in the deck, just sort of to get it ready just in case like Iron Thorns comes out and somehow I die. Just completely unfeasible situations. Though I will say, I think a more optimal line would be to attach a metal energy to each of the Duraludons. So if he tries to boss trap me, I can just attach one energy to one of them and be able to retreat it. I wouldn't be happy about it, but, it leaves me in the situation where I could do that instead of possibly losing the game because my opponent ended up getting too far ahead with things like Drag Pull or all this other setup. Opponent's still not able to do much here because they ended up attaching an energy to the Dracloak that I bossed up. So now their Iron Thorns is behind on prizes and the whole game looks super scuffed for them. It's really nice that after you've set up two, your Nest Balls kind of become fodder, and this just like helps with finding stuff to discard that aren't your energies, of course. So this matchup, I just have like all these extra Nest Balls I can use for Ultra Ball fodder or whatever. I'm also not trying to pull the trigger too hard on anything that I have set up here. I'm kind of taking the game at my own pace, as I feel very comfortable. And my opponent also makes the aggressive play and switching in here to attack with the Drag Pull. Which sucks for them that they had to take the hit with the Iron Thorns, but I feel like I would just committed to the Iron Thorns attack. That way I could go ahead and get some chip damage onto the Archaludon and get some value out of the Iron Thorns. But like now the Iron Thorns is gonna die to Munkidori, so like it feels a bit wasted, a bit poorly played on my opponent's part. But also I'm just here to showcase like what I can do. The Iron Thorns doesn't go to the Lost City. Well, I didn't even put the Lost City down. I think I'm actually trying to save some of my stuff here, but I really shouldn't because he has the Toad Scroll up, and I'm not going to be able to focus down the Toad Scroll for the majority of the game. So I don't even know why I bother not not turboing out all my stuff here. As I'm gonna change my mind and start setting up another Archaludon. I think this one should hopefully get the rest of my energies in play. Oh, it only gets one. How sad. I think. Yeah, I do have most of the energies in play except for one, which is probably in the prizes, so that sucks. Putting the damage here on the Drag Pull is just pretty good, because one, it can net me a kill, obviously, but the more important part is that it also gives me a Devo out, so I can Devo my opponent in case they try to run away and try to deny me prizes or whatever, right? And the Devo is going to work regardless of who is in the active. So even my Duraludon is stuck in the active and tries to run away, I can still take a prize and pressure my opponent just a little bit. And then with the Lost City too, I'd be able to take out the Dreepy and the Dracloak, which could just entirely gut their setup as a whole. My opponent is going to set down second Drapey. It seems like they might have had a scuff setup because I do think the Precious Trolley only got them 2 Drapeys, which means 2 of the other ones are prized. And they're finally going to go ahead and get their first prizes of the game. But realistically, it's not going to matter much. I'm going to go ahead and set up my own Archaludon because, like, why not? I can put that in the Lost City, just sort of removing the option for him to actually Night Stretcher his stuff away. And I'm thinking about where to put the damage, and my first thought is to put it onto the Tundra here. I think this play is still fine in retrospective as well, because if they attack my Archaludon, then I could just go ahead and use the Munkidori to put the rest of the damage onto the Tundra. If I put it onto Drapey, there's a chance that I can Rare Candy into a Dragapult, and that damage becomes a little bit negligible. Like, sure, I can still get there, but I only need one more prize, I think. Though, also thinking about it too, I have a TM Devolution in the deck, so if I end up putting 6 energy on it, or 6 damage on it, and then with my 1, like, leftover energy, or not damage, I cannot speak, my 1 leftover damage that I have on the field already, I would just go ahead and Devo it afterwards, right? So I really probably should have put that damage onto the Drapey there to set it for a better Devolution line, but it didn't matter, so we're saved. My third game here is against, I'm sure it'll come to me in a second. I know what the last game is. I know the last game is against Lost Box Tina. The kind of a goofy matchup, but, oh, yeah, this is Cloth Tropicos. I remember now. So, yeah, I think this is another interesting matchup too, because this highlights just a different strength of Archaludon. So while we saw the HP matter and the Lost City matter in the other two matchups, I think this was just entirely based off the HP and how quickly I could get going. Now this like setup here does not look great for me with my 5 cards in hand and no real game plan outside of that. But thankfully, Duraludon's HP being so big means that I actually am not super susceptible to like Petra stuff, so my opponent does have to actually attack me and put some level of effort out there. They also end up researching, which is like not that great for me, just because I was kind of hoping that Iono would come, but I don't even remember this deck plays Iono. We're gonna see the cloth set up like ASAP, and now I'm scared. Like I legitimately think this deck is already a donk in my head. As we actually get the Arven here, and the Arven is gonna take me down the setup of a slow game, but I still believe, even with all this stuff, that we have a chance of winning here. I also don't even get a full setup, which is like, whatever, it's fine, who cares? And then I could go ahead and Night Stretcher for the last guy, at least like try to pretend that there's a game going. I believe this is also one of the first games I play, so I don't even recognize that Team Turbo Energize can put energy on 2 guys this turn. So, you know, I go ahead and realize that it's like, oh shit, I actually get hella value. Except I don't, because I don't even put the energies in there. But I just spread my energies out. I think the idea mostly here is that I wanted metal energies in the discard, so no matter what Duraludon he takes out, Archaludon should be able to come out next turn and start going, as the cloth is going to go ahead and take a prize and just immediately get ahead. Here, I am going to just grab metal energy here, so I can discard it with Greninja. I really want to put a dark energy onto one of my Munkidoris here, and the reason for that being is that the Terapagos becomes easier to kill, or I could put 220 damage on the Terapagos and then kill it with the Munkidori afterwards. This could allow me to play around Pheasantipity, or just a couple other things. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and discard the metal here. I get the boss a little bit too late, and I put down the first Lost City. This does force my opponent to bump, which is pretty nice. I can also just go ahead and actually use the Gengar for the first time, and this will just, like I said, allow me to put the damage on the Terapagos so it becomes easy fodder later. And taking out the Terapagos with the Lost City could be extremely relevant for removing access to their whole Area 0 business. I also think that this deck mostly relies on like Night Stretchers, so taking out the cloth there with the Lost City can hamper their plans a lot, because it means that they might only have one other cloth left, and now my opponent is just like kind of scrambling to figure out what they want to do next here, as they're going to dig a little bit further. I think they do end up pulling out the second cloth, but their damage is so low now that it's like, okay, now what are we gonna do? Also, the fact that my Archaludon is going to take hits here off the poison chip is actually not that bad for me, especially as I attach a second dark energy. And now I have this boss in my hand too, and my opponent's just going to concede. They're not about it. But I could have gone for like boss on the Fizznavier or boss on the Terapagos, and then started putting damage onto the Petrarite with my, what's it called? What's the guy called? With my Munkidoris. So that way I could have taken another knockout in between turns, and that would have gone like, I could knock out Terapagos, Munkidori onto the Petrarite, and then take my last two prizes by bossing up another Fez. So, I really felt like I was able to salvage myself there. I don't really know what was going on with my opponent in that matchup, but yeah. But I hope that this video has shown you what the deck can do and some of its strengths. I really think this deck is super easy. So if you're looking for an introductory deck to get a new friend or a new player into, I would definitely recommend this. It's a lot of fun. It's really simple, and it still offers a little bit of depth. And I wouldn't even really change much. If you're looking to keep the deck a little bit rotation proof, I'd still grab the Radiant Greninja, but I just would not run the Lost Origin Gengar. Unless if you have one lying around. There's a bunch of versions of it between the pre-release promos or the cool art where he's with the Misfortune Sisters. But otherwise, you can just stick it to the Munkidori. This last game here just, has a funny kill at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and let it roll out until it finishes. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Like I said, the deck list is in the description, as well as a link to the original tweet where I got the deck list from. Yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. Peace.